the Colorado Supreme Court ruled yesterday that Trump is disqualified. And there's a couple of these. One's there's still like an active case in Minnesota. There's a couple of states that have heard this case. Minnesota and New Hampshire, I should say, were dismissed on procedural grounds. And I don't know if there's any other cases at the moment, but if this case was found, if it was found that he was ineligible because of federal law in Colorado or the federal Constitution, you're bound to see more others. So there's a lot of stakes here. It's not just about Colorado. So here is what the Colorado Supreme Court found. You have Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And let's pop this up. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. 4 justices voted that he was ineligible. 3 said that he was, that dissented and said he was eligible. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment.
Which was, the context of that is that it was written after the Civil War to basically try to bar those who supported the Confederacy
exactly
from running for higher office. They were obviously, insurrectionists in and of themselves, or coup attempters. So that's the context of this part of the amendment. Now,
the Supreme Court in Colorado was overturning a district court ruling, and the district court ruling found thusly. All right, there's 4 questions that need to be asked. Was it an insurrection when Trump supporters stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021, trying to stop the certification of the 2020 election? Well, the district court found that, yes, there was an insurrection. It was an insurrection. And then the next question they have to ask, if it was an insurrection, did Trump engage in that insurrection through his messages to supporters and his speech that morning and his Twitter posts and whatever else he did? And this is, incidentally, the district court found this even before hearing about the lies that the people who
organized,
got the permit for the original rally, they knew that there was an attempt to go down to Congress, and that would have made it even more of a slam dunk. And so the answer to that was yes. Not only was there an insurrection, but Trump was instrumental in causing that insurrection. And then the next question is, do the courts have the authority to enforce Section 3 of the 14th Amendment without congressional action? The district court found, yes, it does. But the last one was, does Section 3 apply to the presidency? And the district court found that it did not. And here is the language for Section 3. No person shall be a senator or a representative in Congress or elector of the president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in an insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may by vote of 2/3 of each house remove such a disability. So forget about the Congress moving such a disability. That would basically mean, like, if let's say, for instance, somebody was running for Senate. Now, it would be very curious to see if someone wants to do this with Josh Hawley or Ted Cruz or something like that, Ron Johnson. But put that aside for a moment. If someone's going to the Senate, the 2/3 of each house could say, well, Ron Johnson was subject to all this, but we're going to allow him to come in. And so put that aside. The question is president there? Now, the argument of the district court was he's not named. Everybody else is named.
Right.
Senators are named.
Yeah.
Congress people are named. Electors are named. And people who hold any office who have taken an oath or an officer as a member of the state legislature or executive to support the Constitution of the United States. Now, the oath for the presidency is different than it is for every other office.
Yeah.
So the real question is does or hold any office refer to the president of this country? Now, on one hand, it's like, well, any office, he has an office. I mean, he's the president.
It's the ultimate office, and it's odd that the section doesn't include it. Like, it seems like an oversight by the people.
Seems like it would be a weird oversight to say,
Yes.
like, we're doing this, but we're not going to mention president. And now maybe at the time they're like, well, Jefferson Davis, he held other offices, and so we don't need to do that. But they did not include the president. And, at least in the context of contract law, when you do enumerate some things, this many things, and you're this, but you leave out something that would obviously be enumerated if you meant to enumerate it. Now, they could have also said, this does not apply to the president. But the weird thing is this. I don't know if they could have imagined after that the president, that maybe they couldn't say that, well, I don't know. It's a weird, I mean, it doesn't say president, so maybe you can as a president. I don't know. The Supreme Court's going to overturn it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
And even if they don't, the stay and the process of appeal, unless they do a shadow docket right off the bat or whatever, it's going to take, he'll be on the ballot.
The district court found that because the presidential oath is worded differently from the oaths of the other enumerated offices, it was concluded that the broad phrase "officers of the United States" was not intended to include the presidency, and the Colorado Supreme Court disagreed. So there it is.
This is a great point in the IMs from Kowalski. I feel that, like, the president would be covered under the military clause. The president is the highest ranking military position, so wouldn't that cover the president? Because in that sense, I mean, he is the commander in chief.
I mean, maybe that will come up in the context of this argument. I don't know that it was referenced in the Colorado decision. To be fair, I haven't read that decision yet. So, but there it is. We will know more starting January 4th.
Yeah. Probably not going to really amount.
Political Pyrone writes, I'm hearing that the framers did include, well, it wouldn't have been the framers. This is the 14th Amendment. But that the people who wrote it, or framers maybe of the amendment, did include the president in early drafts, then removed. If that's true, can they consider that? I mean, yeah, the intent of Congress would, if they did include in earlier drafts and they took it out, it would show an intent to not include the president.
And then you know who's going to run with that? Every conservative on the court.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case,
then they would say, textually, the president's not included, as well as you see historical records, they made an effort not to include the president. So if that's the case, that just strengthens Trump's case, unfortunately.